Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kathy. Thank you for accompanying with me in the past year. We sought advice on achieving goals from experts in different areas, talking about electricity restrictions, energy crisis, COVID-19, and potential solutions such as UVC disinfection. 2021 was not easy, but we made it through safely. Are you ready for 2022?
So what factors are necessary to build a successful career or a successful business? The first thing is that you've got to have a very clear idea of what it is you want to achieve. And then you've got to think it through and you've got to write it down as a clearly defined goal. So we were discussing the other day about SMART goals. SMART, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. And then you've got to set that idea in the future, and you've got to be able to see yourself in it in the future. And you've then got to start to think, okay, for me to get from where I am today to that place in X number of years or months or whatever you decide, what have I got to do to get there? What resources do I need? What people do I need to know? How much money do I need to raise to get from where I am today to that place in the future? And I think it was, as we were discussing, it's not just a case of thinking about being something all the time. There's a lot of people who believe that they are something or they're going to be something, but they never actually take concrete steps towards it. You've got to take a step.
I think the goal is to do it. Just don't if you feel like you've done your homework and you have what you feel you need to get started, it just believe in yourself. I think that's the number one thing I can say you want to do is really just go with what you feel, and you'll know very early on if you're on the right path, and if not, you seek some guidance, and there's a lot out there, a lot of people there to help. So, but I think ultimately it has to come from within.
I think is that failure is not regarded as a permanent problem. I think in a lot of cultures and businesses, if you fail, people say, well, you're never going to be a success. Fortunately, it isn't regarded that way, especially in Silicon Valley. So people oftentimes regard CEOs that have maybe even been with one or two startups that failed, but learned a lot in the process, are even more valuable. But myself, I think some of the keys to being successful in a startup company, number one is just perseverance. Having to work hard, being disciplined. I think perseverance is one of the key things to a successful startup. Not that perseverance guarantees success, but if you don't have perseverance, your likelihood of success is very low. Another thing that I think is important as well is being agile. So by that I mean that if you've got a goal in sight, you're going to run as hard as you can towards that goal, but things that are unforeseen come up. Maybe the market changes, a new technology comes along, a new competitor comes along. So having always keep your eyes open and looking around, even though you're aiming at your goal, you may need to change your direction somewhat. The market changes. Just look what happened during the last year and a half with COVID. That disrupted many, many things. So companies had to make adjustments to something they didn't anticipate.
During the pandemic, not only did they see a crash in demand, right, globally for oil, if you remember last year, we had this huge oversupply of oil. There were actually, for the first time in history, negative futures on oil contracts. People were paying others to take the oil off their hands. It was a cost. It was becoming a burden, if you remember that last year. So you had this big glut of oil. And so what did the oil producers do? They shut down all the oil rigs, the excess oil rigs, because they had no choice. There was a glut of oil on the market, a collapse on demand. They couldn't get the workers in because of the virus. Everyone was at home. So we ended up with this contraction. Now, we didn't feel it in the price because, again, industrial output had collapsed for a short while. But the problem is when you shut down an oil field or when you shut down any kind of energy extraction, it takes 10 months just to get it back online, if you can at all. So what we're
10 months.
experiencing is a delay, right? So now they're trying to get the oil capacity back up, but they've already fallen behind because they haven't explored enough. They're not opening enough rigs, and it takes months to get the old rigs that were already producing back to producing energy again. So here we are.
The current trend is as least invasive as possible, meaning nobody wants the mask forever. No one wants to be told they have to do things to stay safe. What a consumer wants is something that they can turn on. They know it's working. They know it's keeping them safe, so they don't have to do all these additional steps that we've all kind of grown used to doing, but we don't like doing.
Familiar with it. The pandemic, I think, has really highlighted the benefits of it because it's non-chemical. There's nothing. There's nothing in the air. You can use it safely in some regards, like upper air when people are present, and can give you that level of disinfection that we haven't experienced before. And now that we know that aerosolation of viruses is, a main factor in the spread of these, pathogens, we have to do something about it. And UVC is a great solution for that.
The Chinese New Year is coming. I plan to get together with my cousins or to visit my friends abroad whom that I haven't seen over 2 years. But this year seems like another year that I couldn't do it. So in 2022, I really hope COVID could be completely eliminated. Everything goes back to normal so that we can breathe freely. And also, I wish a safe world and all the best around you in the year of Tiger. So, 新年快乐，虎年大吉。